the a-hole for refusing to pay for my stepdaughter's wedding because her real daddy is the one that's gonna walk her down the aisle? So let me tell you guys about my stepdaughter, all right? She wants her real daddy to walk her down the aisle. Now let me give you a little backstory on me and my stepdaughter. She just graduated from university, which I paid for. Now, she went to an in-state university, but it still cost me about $40,000. Now, I also bought her a car. I bought her a car straight after high school. That way she could go back and forth to school. I bought her a car. She still lives with me and her mother. She does not have a job. Now, she's set to be married on August the 8th. And for the past 6 months, that's all her mother been talking about doing. Being occupied with, being consumed most of their time. Now, her daddy, he don't contribute to not 1 cent on her. Not her education, not child support, which is partly her mother's fault because, you know, she didn't fight for that. And I guess that's just what the settlement was. And he only around to make promises. I do that for you, I do this for you, and then take off. And then she'd be heartbroken. But she adores her father, right?
Hey, what's going on? It's Jungle D up here. And first off, I want to say thank you to Sapphire Danielle, one of my friends online, who decided to send me this video and ask my thoughts on it. Now, this man in the video goes on to explain how he has supported his stepdaughter all throughout her life pretty much because he's been with her mother for 10 years. You know, he says that he supported her and paid her tuition, which is like $40K. He got her a car. So obviously he's a man of means and a man who can provide because he has the money. Because if he's paying for these things like this, then he obviously has some cake. So he goes on to tell us how he has supported her forever, how she's getting married and he's paying for everything in the wedding. And he finds out that her real father is doing everything with her in the wedding, including the songs and the food. Everything that he's paying for is really going to a wedding that he's not going to be a part of. And this is after being with her mother for 10 years. Now, that's a long time. So to me, there are two sides to this story. And I'm going to start with the first is that, yes, it is extremely disrespectful for this man to be paying for everything and then to be treated like an ATM instead of being treated like the head of household, which is the position that he's been playing or that he believes that he has been playing. And when he saw that all of this stuff that he was paying for was really going for something he wasn't a part of, he decided to pull his money out, which is smart. Anybody would feel that way. If I'm going to help you out, if I look at you as family, if I look at you as a part of me, and you decide to go ahead and X me out and disrespect me in this way, most people are going to walk away, including financially if they're providing something for you. And that's only human. I don't fault him for that. He's not an asshole for deciding to take his funds and walk away. Most people would do that. That's only human. This is why men have started to say that we won't become stepfathers. It's because we see the disrespect. We see the quality of women that are deciding to become baby mamas and that are deciding to have these children. And if that woman isn't divorced and has had, children and maybe it didn't work out, then the quality is low most times when we look at the situation if she's just a single mom and has never been married. And even in cases where the woman has been married and divorced, still a lot of them are trash, just to be honest there. So men are seeing the type of treatment that stepfathers get. And to me, it shows the lack of awareness of single mothers, because if you are in a position that is not advantageous to you, then your move should be to provide as much of the thing that you are losing in to the person that decides to be with you. So for example, if you know that you're bringing another man's babies, another man's genetic lineage to a relationship, then you need to make up for that. And honestly, that's where things like a dowry kind of make sense to me, is because if you're not able to compensate in other ways, then you need to be able to compensate at least financially. You should go ahead and have a dowry prepared and ready. Because honestly, you're going to have to give that man something for the pain and anguish and the irritation that's going to come with dealing with other men's children. Y'all need to come up with some kind of deal, some kind of setup to where it is like, okay, I understand that I'm behind the 8 ball and I'm bringing somebody else's children into the mix. Hey, here is this for what you're about to go through. At least be able to cook, at least be able to do something that makes up for the times that it's gonna suck being your partner. And so when we see this kind of disrespect for somebody who was willing to provide so much, it makes men not want to deal with single mothers at all. And I can't blame men because we're trying to avoid a certain kind of treatment. And so, yeah, if you can't provide anything to make up for it, men are going to avoid you because you're already behind the 8 ball. Unless that man has children of his own, then y'all are on equal footing. Then both of y'all have to deal with each other's kids and baby mamas and all that. That's a wash. That's equal. That's the only other solution. But the point being is that this video shows a lot of the disrespect that is paid to men who decide to take on single mothers. The flip side of this is that after 10 years, bro, you didn't see anything to tell you that you're not a member of this family. There wasn't a moment where something happened with her real father that got you excluded from the game. I don't believe that portion of his story. Something happened in 10 years to show you. There's something that you ignored in 10 whole years that showed you, because it's not like you never interacted with her and her stepfather before. So what that tells me is that there are some things that he overlooked. And I've been preaching this on Facebook a whole lot and online a whole lot, is that the things that you tend to overlook are the things that tend to bite you in the ass. You ignored that time where she decided to call her real daddy and give her real daddy things that should have been yours as the father and provider in that household. And here's the thing most men who decide to become stepfathers never realize is that you're always going to be second, not only to her needs, but also to her need to connect with the man who created her. That's a role you can never fulfill. You can never be the man who put her on planet Earth. That role has already been filled. And so unless the real father is completely out of the picture and never going to come back and never going to deal, you're always going to have to deal with that looming shadow of him being bigger than you, because he's the man that put her on planet Earth. And so as men, we have to understand that if you're playing the stepdaddy role, you're playing the game at a position that is not to your advantage, because that child is going to eventually want to connect with their father. That child is going to want to meet and connect with the person who put them on earth, and that's not you. So here are your options, black man. You either deal with women who have children on a purely sexual level, and that itself is dangerous because then you risk becoming a baby father. But if you choose to deal with a woman who has children, you either deal with her on a purely sexual level or you negotiate the terms of becoming a stepfather. You say, hey, in order for me to feel like I'm secure with you making me into a stepfather, these are the things that I'm willing to accept in replacement for you making me a stepfather. Because most of these women don't go get men with kids. They go get men without kids because they themselves don't want to deal with nobody else's kids. So with that being said, you need to negotiate the terms of what you want to do with her. Hey, what do you require? Do you want a PlayStation, an Xbox, and a new car? Whatever you can think of that would make you feel good enough to stay. In order for me to stay, in order for me to deal with you, then this is what you provide for me. Women are doing this all the time. And they don't want to do this for men because they feel like they don't have to pay for anything. Women who have children have to understand their position. You are playing at a disadvantage too, because you have to bring these kids. They're not his kids. They're not his headache. He didn't create them. He didn't have the that contributes to when you have children. He didn't get to do that part. So in order to make him feel good and assuage anything that he has to go through, you need to go ahead and decide that you're going to give up something. You have to sacrifice something. But when it comes to solid relationships, we have to begin to think in terms of what will fix the situation and make it better. So you either decide that the single mother is going to be purely sexual, or if you're going to deal with her, you have to negotiate what you want out of the contract. And that's something that this man failed to do. He did not negotiate properly what this was going to be, and he didn't think about what it's going to be like. Realize that this is not going to be all the way pleasant, because those still are not your children. No matter how fine she is, no matter how good the yams are, those are not your kids, sir, and they never will be, because someone else has created them. So either you decide not to deal, or you decide that you want to exact the price for what you're about to go through. And it has to be something that makes you feel worth it and something that makes you stay. Now, I'm going to write more and talk about more on this, but I just want to give my thoughts on this situation. Once again, I appreciate you all listening. It's John Diop. Peace.